So how were you able to see that specifically there's opportunity within this small advertising space?
Just had to be able to sell a dream. There's never a smooth story. My co-founder at the time, his dad was one of the listening agents for Tejo Show at the time, which is what gave us the leg into Tejo Show.
By what you just said now is to substantiate my belief that travel is an investment, and every executive, even as an employee, must try as much as possible to make budget for it.
The more your business can become more structured and process oriented, the easier it will be to manage those things, because there would always be, something to follow through to address each and every situation.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of the African Business Show. It's been a minute and I'm happy to come back to your screen. My name is Dami Olarewaju and I'm the host of the show. But guys, before we do a deep dive, I'd like you to do something for us. Please kindly follow us across all social media platforms displaying on your screen. And also please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We need to get to 5K at least in the next 2 weeks. It's been displayed on your screen right away. And we just want you to be part of what we're doing at B360. I also like you to go to some of our dedicated news websites. It has a lot of insight that you can gain. If you're in tech, I would like you to go to africantechbusiness.com. If you like travel and you want to know more about Africa, it would be nice for you to go to showcaseafricanonline.com. Okay. And also, if you like business generally, or you want to have information about opportunities, about personality within the business space, then Business 360 is for you. So kindly go to thisisbusiness360.com. More verticals are coming. In the next 2 weeks, we're launching the africanretailbusiness.com. We're launching the africanbusiness.com. And the good thing about all of these sites is that they have specialized reports about industry, about sector, about certain themes that I think you'll find interesting. So let's get right into the show. Today, I'm very excited to have somebody here at the studio, a very interesting personality, Mr. Wale Adegoke, the CEO of Nimbus Media Ltd. I've actually watched one of your interview before, and I like it. I like what you guys are doing. And the kind of innovation that exists within what you're doing, even though I want you to also at some point explain how you were able to even deep dive into that kind of specialized area in outdoor advertising. And you guys are literally, you are a monopolist in that sector, and it's very exciting to see people like thinking out of the box. But let's take it from the top. Thank you for coming. And it's so exciting to have you here. So can you run us through who you are? Your antecedents before now. Maybe running from uni, what you read in uni, leading up to now, because we like to always understand the background of our guests. It leads us to be able to understand how they think, how they function. It helps us to really understand you better.
Okay, thanks, Dami, for having me on the show. And I like that you said you've heard about Nimbus, and I would like to correct something. You say we're having a monopoly. No, we are not. We actually have a lot of competition, but we can be said to be a pioneer. And so we are a pioneer in Nigeria because, the world is such a big place. Yes. And indeed, Nigeria is just following in the footsteps of other markets which have, liberalized in the kind of way that they do things across the business vertical of retail, across vertical of also real estate, and across a vertical of advertising. So the beauty about Nimbus is that, and the innovation that you are talking about is to be able to actually connect all these dots, which is what we've done. We've been able to do, or continue to do, connect the dots between retail, real estate, and advertising. So we are a media company, and we provide brands with opportunities for visibility at different destinations, prime and premium locations, and we are a lot data driven. So we actually able to help provide guidance into the audience profiles at these locations, and then using our network of different advertising opportunities, media opportunities, we're able to provide that kind of visibility to clients efficiently, according to their budgets.
Yeah, so let's still take it back to, that's like a summarized version of everything. But what did you study in school?
Okay, so
in uni?
I went to University of Lagos, and I studied building technology. Actually went in to study civil engineering. And I was actually a confused young man, so to say, around when I was in my teens, just finishing secondary school. I got a really good rounded secondary school education from King's College, Lagos. So I was a science student, and I also did other kinds, like I did economics, and I even did food and nutrition. So I was really just all around there. For some time, I did further maths, I did technical drawing, things like that. So I liked to draw. I liked to tell stories. I liked to read. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So at the time, I had different options. I had option to study computer science. I had option to study marketing. I had option to study chemical engineering, and I had option to study civil engineering. And so, this is thing about life in that, they say, man proposes, God disposes, kind of thing. So I was, actually hoping to study computer science in the United States because I had different options, right? And then I was not given the visa.
Wow.
So at the time, it was something that really just was so disappointing to me. And so I was thinking whether I should try again. Because at the time, for you to try again for the visa, you need to wait, I think, 6 months to 1 year. And so during that time, I had other admissions. I had admission to Babcock, I had admission to Covenant, I had admission to University of Lagos for a diploma. So I was just trying to see, okay, what could I do? I didn't want to just be waiting. So I just started the Unilag diploma, and then I got into it. And before you know it, I had gotten into the community and all that. So, and the rest is history, as they say.
That's good. So right out from school, what were your work experiences? Where have you worked, or what have you done?
So I was not working at all from when I was in secondary school. And I started my first work experience was my IT series from when I was in Unilag. And the series, I was fortunate to get into the lap of some people who are experienced and who actually, they were a architecture firm called Triac. So they had quite a number of projects around Lekki and VI Axis. So I was seconded to one or two of those, specifically around Lekki Phase 1. At the time, it's not compared to what it is now in terms of development. So seeing that, working with the guys on site, because I was working on site as a supervisor and also as a site engineer. So it brought about me understanding that I could make value from this knowledge. So I started just getting into some PPs here and there, specifically supervision of works on sites. When I got back to school, I still had one or two contacts, and I kept close contact with the Alaji, who was the contractor at the time we're working with. And then after I finished, I just dove straight into construction project management, and I worked at a couple of construction project management and real estate firms when I finished university. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. So how did you now transition to outdoor? Because building, then advertising, then more specifically outdoor, then much more specifically mall advertising and, retail advertising.
Yeah, I promise you it makes sense. It's actually logical, right? But there is just a connection with everything that you've spoken about. It's all based on real world.
Yeah.
The real world, like not virtual world, the real world. So being in construction, I'm able to know about projects before you see them. So because we are working on the concepts, where we work on pre-construction, construction, post-construction, there's a whole project life cycle. So being in consulting, I was involved with a lot of development of pre-construction. So that involves a lot of research, a lot of connecting the dots when it comes to different service providers, even the government, the municipal authorities, a lot of that. So I was already privy to the workings of things in that sense. And then when it comes to real estate also, it's all about paying for the space and the value you can generate from the space. So there are so many different kind of deals and deal structures that can be put together in order to extract the value. Depending on what you have, you might have the land. Somebody else has the cash. Somebody else has the expertise. Somebody else has the contact of the client or the off-takers, and it's a whole ecosystem. So seeing that, I already was able to see that, okay, there is something that people are not really doing, that there are openings. And also I was privileged to be in a family that is a little bit cosmopolitan. My dad's a doctor. My dad's siblings are doctors. Like we have educated people in our family. So we also have privilege to travel. So I saw how things are being done in other markets. And so I was able to just transition that knowledge and try and push it into enterprise.
That makes sense. So, but I really want to know exactly how you stumbled, because I would believe it's some form of stumbling into this. I kind of understand what you're saying in terms of pre-project. So I've worked in a retail company before. I used to be I think I was the pioneer, depending on the history, which one to believe. But from what I know, I was the pioneer head of one of the kiddies clothing brand in Nigeria as the head of marketing. So, and part of my work was mall expansion. So in the
they might be my client.
2013, 2014, when some of these malls were coming up, I'd seen them at paper level before they ever came up. Maybe because of my limitation in knowledge there, maybe I should have seen some of these things you're saying. So how were you able to see that specifically there's opportunity within this mall advertising space?
Yeah, so I think it's a couple of things. Just naturally just connecting dots as a person. But of course, if I was not somebody that I've had opportunity to go to UK, go to Manchester, go to Birmingham, go to America, go to Paris, see things. So I know that this is how things are done. Even if the building is there are things that can be added onto the building that were not there, and they can add value. Of course, people were trying to do things like that, but there's always a level up you can take it. And because of the kind of projects I was involved in, top-notch projects where, you don't want anything messy. And then these guys that were bringing in the malls at the time, bringing in the investment, they were coming in backed by venture,
private equity
firms, exactly. So these guys are coming with their own standards. And so I understood that kind of standard, that kind of execution. And also just had to be able to sell a dream. My co-founder at the time, he's because there's never a smooth story. My co-founder at the time, his dad was one of the listening agents for Tejo Show at the time, which is what gave us the leg into Tejo Show. And we actually got approval to take over the advertising holdings at Tejo Show, the newly built Tejo Show at the time. But then First Bank took over from the developer in the receivership. And so we lost that. But with the experience we had gotten to get that deal, we were able to get deal for Ikeja City Mall, some other places. So we were able to deploy in those places. And then we understood that, okay, maybe if you want to take everything, it might be harder. Maybe we should just take this niche. Maybe we just focus on this, and then it's easier for us to get it. Also easier for us to manage, less risk, and then we can scale up our experience. So I think a lot of things just really came together and for me to be able to connect those dots. But I don't think it's anything like special.
Yeah, so for me, there's one unique, you see, for me, one of the things I like about this show and hosting it as an entrepreneur, it makes me to understand different industries, sitting just from where I am, and it's able to make me also make sense of certain things. For example, one of the major highlights of the last show I had with one of my friends is into logistics. We did dive into the business case for executive education and how that executive education can be one of the ways you can generate good leads, because at the end of the day, it paid for itself. The highlights that I'm getting from this, apart from understanding the core industry dynamics or where you play, is the fact that, and what you're doing by what you just said now is to substantiate my belief that travel is an investment, and every executive, even as an employee, must try as much as possible to make budget for it. You might not necessarily be able to start from Paris or UK, like you said, but starting from even some African countries, because it will naturally expose you intuitively to opportunity. So it's an investment that have return. In the same way that one of the theories I built one time is what I call return on knowledge. Literally, we talk about return on investment, return on capital and all of that. I've literally seen the return on investment real time, on knowledge rather, in my life. I haven't started early reading. It will look as if, but now I make millions of naira because of the knowledge that I've acquired. The same theory applies to there's return on travel. These are now, it gives you an unusual vantage position to be able to dimension opportunity in a way that somebody that is localized cannot see. Because suddenly, some of the things that have been done in those climes, you can actually bring it here and it looks innovative. And that's why I don't really also understand why people are relocating. Do you get what I mean? Most people will travel, they get distracted. Rather than bring the innovation that they can find in those countries here and do it and make impact and money, then people relocate and they are part of the masses. So this is a very profound understanding. You see, and that's the reason why we also want to know the background of the people, because it impacts on how you come about your business thesis and business management orientation.
Yeah.
So that's a long from me. So let's go back to you. Because we must always highlight cogent, information or principles rather, that people can take from here. So raising capital, how did you do it? Because that's a very, very capital intensive business.
Yeah, so I'll just, before I jump into that, I'll just address something you said, which I really love what you said about knowledge, investment in knowledge. I think you return on knowledge. I've not heard anything like that before, but it's so real. Knowledge is really, really key. And the jackpot thing, it's also a knowledge gap, right? So sometimes some people jackpot just out of a bandwagon.
Yes.
Some people are actually jackpotting for a very solid. When you hear it, you know that this is a good. So it's not a one
side fit.
And people being a global citizen, I encourage it because it's only going to be better for your generations being a global citizen. I must
Makes sense,
say. Yeah. So coming back to capital, knowledge is so key to capital. In fact, knowledge is more important than capital. Knowledge of who to talk to, of what to tell them, how to tell them, when to tell them, timing. When you talk about capital, stock exchange, Bitcoin, all these things, they are all timing. Even gold. At some point, gold was selling at about a third of what it's selling now within the last 18 months or so, or 24 months. So, and that's not the only thing that is experiencing that kind of And even when it comes to pricing is knowledge, very knowledge centric. And that's why airlines, they always have different tiers of seats and different pricing for those tiers. I've been on a flight where I paid for economy, and then I had their frequent flyer map, but I was economy. And then they just put me on business class because, and it's not because I'm so special or anything, but because I'm somebody with miles and there's free seat in business class. They have that information, they can match it together. Rather than just letting that free business class seat go like that, they've impacted on my loyalty to them. And vis-a-vis even cutting prices of tickets and having time when you check for tickets and things like that. So for raising funds, always have to start from the people that know you. Because what you really have is just an idea. It's nothing. Of course, there are some people's ideas are worth more than some other people's ideas, because idea is what a dime a dozen. Idea in the hand of a Steve Jobs, idea in the hand of a nobody. It's quite two different things, the same idea. So the person is important, and the people that know you are the people that will be ready to make a stake on you, because at the end of the day, it's still a bet.
Yes.
It's still it could all go bust. Every investment could go bust, and it could also multiply. So family and friends was the first thing. So after we are able to tap into family and friends, then we see a larger circle. And then sometimes it could even be your customer that could invest in you by giving you a deal that is like a long-term deal.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that could mean that it gives you what you need to build, right? And you're only serving them. But at the end of the day, when you finish serving them, you still have those assets, those experience, those expertise to, which is like capital.
Yes.
And then another person can invest in you, or you can use it to serve another client, and then you reduce the price you charge them. So there's so many ways to leverage finance. I don't think about money just like that in isolation, because money in isolation doesn't exist. I think about value and connecting dots with people. I think about relationship as an asset, and that's how we're able to. I don't have this understand. I didn't have this understanding I have then, but I was able to tap into people as mentors who helped me, and I made some mistakes, but it's still ongoing. Then we're able to now tap into the financial institutions and to the level where we are now.
Makes sense. So let's talk about challenges that maybe you went through in running the business,
or going through.
Well, let's just some major challenges that you've gone through. You can do that also with examples. So maybe finance, this was the exact thing. Maybe loss of clients. Maybe you lost a major client that messed up your balance sheet. Things like that.
Yeah, there's so the number one challenge will always be coming from the place of the number one possibility, which is people. So the number one challenge in business is people centric, and there's this saying: is it 99% of problems are people problems, right? So I started up the business with a co-founder. Across long stem of years, we're able to work together. But at some point there was a divergence of vision and motivation and all that, and we had already dug deep together. So even the very existence of the business was threatened because we had dug deep roots together. So lessons were learned, but we're able to do a clean divestiture with the support of so many people that actually egbons that actually cared.
Yes.
And that's a lesson about relationships, because it's those relationships, when you hear things that PwC did this, Deloitte did this, McKinsey did this. Egbons are doing those things for you for free. They are giving you those insights
all
for
that
free.
wisdom. Old wisdom.
Yes. Well, of course, you have to respect yourself. Me as a Yoruba boy, you know, there's the whole Omoluabi thing whereby it just come naturally. You can't just speak anyhow to somebody that is older than you. You have to just suck it up. Even if you feel that they wronged you, you have to approach it in a certain way. People outside that cultural context might not even understand that. They'll say, why would he try that with you? You know, so these are things that cultural dynamic really played a role in. So of course, it's also things like that also come with look, majority of the problem, if not all, are people problem, because even this jackpot thing is a staff attrition thing. You know, people go, and our business is a business where account management is key. So whoever is managing this certain account would have some kind of privileged relationship with the client on a personal level. There's only so much handover you can do. Meanwhile, especially when you have your intention to continue even
with the client,
despite the fact that you got the client with the dime of this organization, bankrolling how you build that relationship, but then, you know, it's fair game. There's only so much that can be captured in, and a small organization, you don't even have that level of legal and expertise, organizational processes to even put some things in place that would not make some people do some things that they are not supposed to do. So it's all been a learning process, even beyond losing such accounts. You even feel the pain more of losing some relationships. And then there've also been, you know, some compliance matters, government taxes, state, municipal, here and there. You know, client has paid for this, and this person comes and starts saying that, no, you must give them this, and then it now makes your credibility to be. So these are things that they come with the territory. But the more your business can become more structured and process oriented, the easier it will be to manage those things, because there would always be, you know, something to follow through to address each and every situation. Yeah,
makes sense. So, in terms of the economy, let's zoom into the economy. What's your general view? How has the economy fared on you and your sector, your business in the last? Maybe let's just pick this regime. What's your general view and perception?
The beginning time of this regime has been very harsh on businesses. Many have shut down. Many have left. The businesses that are still around are those that they've already had a foothold one way or the other. They have something to hold on to. And with the shocks that came from the global as well as this regime's own decisions, it's been tough managing your expenses and the risk appetite of your clients, considering the fact that your clients also need to make ROI. So it's been a little bit of a balancing act, to be honest with you. I'm positive though, especially about now to the election time. I believe Nigeria needs stability, and I believe that we will get the stability, because I don't think it's negotiable. The stability is not negotiable. And I think even the global powers that be also, they understand that, especially with what's happening geopolitically now, Nigeria is becoming even more key and central to global energy safety and security, and even global workforce needs, especially now if the Middle East is looking more unstable to make some kind of infrastructural bets. Nigeria is dying for those infrastructural bets. So I think that's why you can see the US actually trying to come to secure Nigeria.
So what are the opportunities that exist within the space you play? You can go a bit broad, because again, at the risk of letting out maybe your secret and all of that. Generally in advertising, what are some of the opportunities that you've seen globally that are not in place yet here and we can leverage on?
Yeah, okay. So I think we are doing a lot, but we're not doing a lot. And I would say we are doing a lot of copy and paste, which I don't think it even benefits us. I think we can do more of innovation in terms of the formats of the creatives that we create and the way we place them, the innovation behind the way we place them. So, of course, I'm here to share. So I will share one or two things with you. Hyperlocal and context-driven creative will give you what you need in terms of ROI on any platform that you place it on. You have to also be data-driven and hungry to capture as much data as possible, and then take the time to analyze the data and act on the actions, that insights that it gives you. Now with AI, it's easier to do all these things that I've just said, more easy than it's ever been. Hyper-localized, even in terms of language. When we have creatives, we can and should hyper-localize in terms of language and the context of time of day, season, and even the data you have to drive discount for the audience. So those are things that with programmatic and AI, it's easier than ever to do that. And with the years to come, it's going to even get easier and easier because Moore's law is making it faster and cheaper. Yes, exactly.
But so I want to believe, based on what you're saying, is that the clients are also adopting that. When you advise, are they doing that? Because you know that there are several challenges in that, which means you have multiple creatives, multiple approval with Acorn and all of those things. How do that play out?
And so the conversation has to be multi-layered, and you have to be thorough. So the thoroughness comes in the addressing the approval one, which means that you just have to think through everything as much as possible and submit everything.
I get you.
Even beforehand, right? And then when it comes to the client adopting it, the client has to not just treat the marketing as just one templated stuff, but integrate it into every system of the company. And I see a lot of organizations doing that. For example, I see some organizations where the CEO will send an email and the email will actually go around to all the customers' box, and the email can be a greeting of, let's say, International Women's Day or even Christmas end of year. And that's a very good opportunity to craft hyper-localized and context-rich content that will be trustworthy. For even organizations that are doing a lot heavy on digital, I've seen that they've started adopting something which I've been saying is very important, which is to do a double on not just digital, but also the real world and integrate the two so that you encounter digital and you encounter the real world and the message is unified, and then the trust is just there for you to take that action. Brands that are doing it, I don't want to name any brand on your show, but there are brands that are doing it. International telephone, mobile phone set or smartphone brands, they are doing that very well, and even telcos are doing that very well. Some fintechs are doing that very well. In fact, we have some that we're working with, so we are happy to be part of the way everything is evolving.
So let's look at this, right? What other opportunities do you see now broadly within the sector? So let's say I'm an entrepreneur. So let me give you context. I also run a marketing agency, and over time from time to time you look at opportunities that you can Several times I've made a first attempt at probably doing outdoor. When I think of the infrastructure that you need, the whole regulatory stuff, it can be very overwhelming, okay? But there's that's why we went in certain direction. For example, to build media instead, to build software rather than build physical asset like you guys are doing. So within that context, what are the areas that, let's say I'm trying to come into the space, or I'm in the space I want to expand within the whole general marketing comms industry? What do you see happen, and where are the opportunities?
Yeah, so I think there will always be agencies. Agencies are a very important part of the ecosystem. Agencies are actually like a fulcrum of the marketing communication ecosystem, and there are different types of agencies. You have the media independent agencies, you have the activation experiential agencies, you have the creative agencies, you have the out-of-home specialist agencies, and I don't know if there's any radio specialist agency, but then you have the media houses. Yes. And now the media houses have been under so much threat because of digital proliferation that has kind of destroyed their moat to a point where a cutty of a content creator could make a lifestyle show that is more popular than something on AIT, that is more popular than something on Channels TV. And that is being respected by brands. Yes. Brands are reinvesting in those creators. Yes. So that's creator economy now. And agencies are now looking at how do they fit in the creator economy. And a lot of people are saying, okay, we need to be more data driven. We need to be more tech. You know, tech just seems to be the answer and for everybody, right? It's like almost like you
are giving me one crazy idea in my head
to do everything.
Yeah. I like what you're saying.
Yeah, but there is always room for a freelancer. A freelancer has his place in the whole thing, whether it is from this our side, whether it's from, and that's a place where he's becoming more empowered with the way things are. A room for a freelancer. So I'm looking at two things happening now: consolidation and more freelancers. So there will be at some point, I don't know when, maybe in the next 5 years, maybe next 10 years, if the way AI and everything goes and really affects the world so much, maybe in the next 2 years, you'll see some people consolidate their businesses, you know, and that's a cultural thing also for the government to look at for us. How can we help people to consolidate businesses? How can businesses, erstwhile agencies, consolidate themselves? All these sectoral bodies and how are they having a thriving dialogue so that, because we all human beings, we all have a lifespan and you can't run your agency forever. If your agency is not well structured and everything that can stand the test of time, is it better for it to die off or for you to fuse it into a bigger chain or network? How is that happening? Because they're replicated of such of that so many things in Europe and the Americas. People just need to do some research. And I think our policymakers and the people who are like the head of communities and needs to actually be enlightened. And that's the place of travel. Sometimes you can't travel, but you can grab a book. I came into your office, I saw books and all that, and I was elated that you are such a person, because that's another substitute for traveling. Some people, they've never traveled, but they've read so many books and they're better off than you.
And that's what I did mostly anyway before I could afford to travel and do a lot of business exploration trips. Yeah.
So the place of a freelancer is now strong because they can have an AI team that works with them. And then the place of the big organizations, how are they going to interact with a freelancer with an AI team in your big organization to create value? So that's where I see it. But I can't tell you exactly how it's going to happen, but I see that.
But I what you just said now, like I said, what I don't know what you are doing to my head. I'm not sure you know what you're doing to my head. You have been able to help me think of an idea right now. and I'm going to tell you off camera what I think, how it's going to pan. And there are models around it. Maybe I never thought that one could do it right now, but thinking about it, there are infrastructure that one already has to make that happen. And so that makes sense. So quickly, let's segue as we wrap up to about with these three areas, right? Sales, leadership, and but let's do sales and leadership first. I want to know your philosophy, which means from there, what we really want is to draw a lesson from how you think about leadership.
Okay.
So we'll do that for sales also.
So you want me to talk about
and
leadership?
Finance. So do that. 3. I want to understand how you think around those. In other words, inside it, you now share, like, either as you're explaining it, the wisdom becomes clear, or after your explanation of your philosophy, then you will tell us what major principle you leave out in that particular area.
Okay, so sales, leadership, and finance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you pick it one after the other.
Okay, so let me start with leadership. With leadership, the philosophy is self-leadership comes first. You have to be able to lead yourself. And self-leadership is actually the hardest. So once you crack self-leadership, then the fruits of leadership start to come out. And there's nothing like perfect leadership. But there's constantly improving leadership. So that's my thought on leadership. On sales, sales comes with ownership. A boost in sales will come with a boost in ownership from the people making the sales. Ownership from the whole channel of the sales, and the understanding the whole channel of the sales, in terms of making sure that as much as possible, you leave less things to chance, and are deliberate about how you pass on your message and how you structure your funnel so that you have enough opportunities, because sales comes with what I call batting average. The more hits you take, the more chances you make a home run. So the more attempts at making a sale in terms of having a conversation, pushing out a product, communication, even pushing out sales campaigns in general, the more opportunities you're going to have that conversation where you can listen to your client, listen to your customer. So that opportunity of listening to your customer, the more time you spend listening to your customer, talking to your customer, the higher possibility of you making sales. And then with finances, I would say efficiency is important, but put value first. And sometimes you have to make difficult decision of not doing some things, or doing some things that are going to bring about multiples. So you have to have people with the mentality of these two. The mentality of efficiency, cutting, and the mentality of multiplication. So you use resources to multiply. And you use efficiency to also cut expenses. You have to have these two.
That's interesting.
These two, so that you can be balanced. If you have only one type, there might be some issues along the line. This
has been a very, very interesting conversation. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate, and we hope that we can have sequel episodes sometime in the near future. Thank you so much for dedicating time to come and share the nugget of wisdom. I've really gained a lot, and I'm sure that our audience have gained so much. There's so much to unpack in this episode, and it's been a very interesting one. Thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the African Business Show. Like I said, please try and follow us across all social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications so that when we drop new content, you are able to join us. Till I see you on another episode, keep flying. Take care, bye.